Okay, this should be video number 3 for August 12. Hopefully this is our last video. So I'm gonna admit everybody. Shh. Hopefully this is our last video. I always say that, and then there's another one, but I have to go because I have a meeting. So this is our last one. So I want to make sure that I talk to everybody. I've talked to Ria, right? And then Sonia, Early, I've talked to you, Elvin, Layla, Frederick, I talked to Emmanuel. You want to talk, or Kat? Kat, you also have been active in Facebook, in the Facebook. Thank you so much. I noticed your name there. Kat, do you want to talk to us? Or October? Yeah, I love your name because I thought, is she putting the date on? I'm like, oh, it's her name. So somebody like October naming you October. So anyway, so any of you, can you talk to me? Tell me, like October, tell me how your name came about.
Um, I don't know how to ask, but it's probably from my mom.
Your mom, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It was
that's
like
why. Yeah.
October.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning, po, Jan, and then good evening here from Vietnam. Currently in Vietnam, po, teaching as a DSL. Been here for like 5 years now, but I had an experience 10 years in public in
Okay,
Philippines. So
okay.
currently, I'm holding actually an active 2 licenses, like in New Mexico.
Okay,
And
yeah,
also in
yeah, that's a
Philippines.
good idea. Because when you get here and you have your New Mexico, and by the way, I've been putting asterisk on those that with New Mexico license, because that's going to be easier to convert it to any other license in the US. So, and that's the easiest to get, the New Mexico license. How much did it cost anything? Was it free?
It was that time that was February, and then the New Mexico posted it for free, so I'm only paying for the blue. Oh, the what's that for the print? For the FBI printing, fingerprinting,
Fingerprinting.
for
Mhm.
sending, and some documents that needs to. That's it. But for it's that time was free for the application.
Yeah, and so that's why it's a good thing to have. And in that way, when you do your reciprocity to Arkansas, you still maybe have to do your TOEFL, but it's easier
I'm
because you
looking
don't.
forward about that. You send me an email about it, and then
Yeah,
I'm starting having it. Actually, I have my TESOL, but it seems like it's different. So I'm gonna look forward to have a TOEFL too. That's what you are advising us to do. Since Arkansas is really requiring, so why not?
yeah.
Anyway, I'm not in a hurry because I'm currently on contract here in Vietnam. I'm
Okay.
about to finish like next year. So as of now, I'm gonna start upgrading myself
Okay. Yeah.
professionally in
Yeah.
order for me to fit in,
Okay.
easy for you to recommend. And yeah, reading also all those it's really helpful, and I shared it to my friends here in Vietnam, was the teachers too. I shared it in Philippines, or my colleagues, performer colleagues, and it's like it's really helpful links, because sometimes teachers really like not everybody like you who's like a walking.
Yeah. Well,
you
good. I'm
you
glad that it's
share
helping you.
all the strategies, techniques. It's like, oh my god, I want to listen and sit down to you one of your seminars. I'm really excited.
Well, good. Good. I'm so glad you came in. How much, if you don't mind me sharing, I know it's kind of sensitive in the US when you ask people about pay and anything about money. The US, you see, the Americans are allergic to that. Like one day I was asking one of my friends and I said, how many cows do you have? And with me, I was just curious about how many cows she has, but she's got this big farm. How many cows does she have? She said, Merlina, do you know that's kind of not good to ask that? I said, why? She said, because you're like asking someone how much money they have. I'm like, oh, I did not know that. I just thought, I'm just curious how many cows you have. But now I learned that you have to be careful when you're talking about money. So right
Yeah.
now, having been Americanized, I'm curious only they'll be for our purposes here. How much does
Therefore,
Vietnam pay? Do they
so
pay
you
better
are
than Philippines?
here in Vietnam. It's different. It's like it took for a while to us here to be recognized, but and when the system changed nowadays, this whole year after the pandemic, they usually required before they giving us of a working visa, it should be a bachelor's degree of education. So all of the non-native are here. Sorry. Sorry. I
Excuse me.
put a baby here, so my baby here.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, it depends on the company, of course. But as of this moment, I have renewed my contract and then got my 3,000 US dollar. That's pretty decent here. Anyway, the cost of living is not that high.
So
And
that's 3,000 a month or a year?
Yes.
A month.
You know, come on.
3,000 a month, dollars.
Yes. Yes.
That's US dollars?
US dollars.
That's not bad. That is not bad at all.
It's
Yeah.
not bad, but the education for the kids is pretty quite
Yeah.
unstable.
US would be more than that, but do you have taxes and other things they take off of that? So by the
Yeah.
time you get finished, then what is your net? That was gross. What is your net? Like what
Yeah.
are
Yeah, that's my net. Actually, they're paying me 3,500, and then all those deductions, health insurance, and the tax. So I got 3,000.
that is not bad because that's like at least what so many times the Philippines. I think I'm thinking that it's a normal multiply, whatever you make in the Philippines is times 8 or times 10 is what it seems to be. I guess depending, like Dr. Elvin will make more because he would go in the different column. He and I would be in the same column. We have our doctorate. And so you'll have, a column for masters, that's be another $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, depending on the school. And then another column for additional for the specialist. And then the last column would be the doctorate, and you will get the highest. Okay. So like right now in any salary schedule in anywhere in the state, I'm maxed out because I have, the top one, maybe 20, 25 years. I have more than 30. Yeah, I have more than 30. And then I go that way and I get a doctorate. So I guess I'm expensive if they want to, if I want to go work again, I'll get paid like double what most people do. So I'm worth two teachers, I guess. So sometimes when you get that high with the doctorate, that's the thing, you overeducated yourself that you are too expensive as a teacher. So it's actually better to hire, to have a goal of becoming administrator because they can justify hiring you that's good for 2 or 3 people. So as administrator, you get paid that much. And that's why I went into education. I mean, to being an administrator, although I love the classroom, but I went in there because when I start looking at how much money I was going to get when I retired, the administrators were getting double. And I'm like, well, we got administrators here that I was classmate with, they didn't do well in school and I was making A's. Why am I not doing this? And so I did. And so I'll end up with double my retirement pay than my sister, who is a teacher. And I keep encouraging her. I said, you need to get your, and she had 1 more class or 2 more classes and she'd rather play tennis. She didn't finish it. So I said, she said, well, I'm already getting paid. Our school already paid me like equivalent. I'm like, yeah, but when you retire, that's going to make a difference. But anyhow, so yeah. Yeah. So it's
we're very lucky here to have you here because you're obviously you're very expensive to be with.
No, I volunteer a lot. I charge a lot, but I volunteer a lot also. I have so many friends, I have so many friends who are administrators and they would invite me like, Merlina, can you speak with whatever? And I feel bad about charging my friends. So I'm like, well, can you like donate to charity? I just like, I don't want to take money for my friends. But anyhow, but now I'm getting braver. Like, okay, this is my rate. My daughter Stephanie this week came home and she's a psychologist, right? And so I said, do you have like how much do you charge? And she said, Mom, the other day I was like asked to speak for an hour and I charged $250. So I said, so you're charging $250 an hour. So you're charging a lot more than your mother. And so anyway, so yeah, and she said, I'm gonna make a rate list, Mom, because she's now like more of becoming like specializing on the field. So people are getting to ask her, like she went to Chicago and presented 3 different things. And so she now being asked, like, how much do you charge? And so I told her and I said, in Arkansas, I mean, this is something, the information you want to know in case you want to do this someday, is in Arkansas, Like with my doctor and Dr. Elvin's, I can do 100 an hour, but then that's cheap because I can double or triple that later, if I want to. But I guess I'm not greedy enough because I feel like more like I'm not here to make money. I'm here to help. I guess this little devil same thing going in my shoulder. so I feel like it's much more rewarding when you're helping somebody. It makes you happy. It makes me happy. And so I would be like, well, you don't have a budget. Let me just, so I would kind of work with the school, try to get them discount or whatever, because I could always put that in taxes that I kind of volunteer part of it. And that's the thing here. You can always use tax, deduction and things. So anyway, so someday, when I was working at the Department of Education, when we bring an author, and that's what I'm in the middle of, my sister and I writing a book. So when you become an author and your book is like a really good selling book, and people will ask you to come and be a keynote speaker, we have to pay keynote speakers like 5,000 to 10,000 one day. They come for one day. So 250,000 pesos for just one day of talk. And so my highest one that I did, I was doing 2,500 in one day. I worked for Coke and I was doing a diversity and inclusion training, and they hired me for 5 days. And it was in Atlanta. They flew me there, and we stayed at a really 5-star hotel. And in the afternoon when we finished training, they took us like open bar things, like we had a bowling lane and it was like open bar. And this Coke person just ordered everything like a parang fiesta. There's like fiesta. And they were doing that every afternoon. And they would have these reserves going. And it was like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like lobster tail and steaks and all that. And they were just like passing it on. And I said, we are in the wrong business. Corporate is the way to go. They have money. They really do. And I was telling my administrator friends, and I'm like, if you ever do corporate, that's where you see all this. They pamper them. They really spoil them. And my partner that hired me, she was charging 5,000 a day. She was making $25,000 in 1 week. And she was booked for like 3 or 4. So she would I think 4 weeks. So she would get 100,000 in just that 1 month of job. So she doesn't even work anywhere else. That's 5 million pesos for just 1 month. Yeah. Yeah, and I was making half what she was making, but because I was new in the corporate world. So anyway,
to spend it, even the half, that's a lot.
You can spend it because the more you make, the more you also spend. So don't worry. I was buying properties. Yeah, that's a good investment to buy properties. I have lots of properties now. Yeah. So anyway, okay. So thank you so much for talking to us, October. So I'll remember your name because of your month. Okay, Charo, I want to talk to Charo. Thank you again, October. Charo, can you talk to us? Yes.
Hello, Dr. Merlina. Hello, everyone.
I love your hair. So cute.
Hi. Thank you. Hi. So, I'm Charo. I'm 32 years old. I've been teaching as a junior high school English teacher for 11 years already. And actually, I've always dreamed of teaching English abroad. So actually, I'm a little bit worried applying in the United States, but I know teachers, have a great opportunity there. So I'm trying my luck, and I'm hoping to get there soon.
Yeah, well, do prayers, and also, I was like, God, I'm doing my best. Please do the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wish you the best. And when you do interview, Charo, do not say your age. It's actually an illegal question here. They don't want to have an ageism where they would discriminate you because of your age. So I won't even offer those. Do not tell them how many kids you have. Do not tell them. You don't even have to tell them if you're married, because they're not supposed to discriminate you in the basis of anything like that. Okay, so I would concentrate on telling them how many years of experience, what degree you received, if you have any advanced degrees, and give an example of specific impact that you felt like, I would say example of kids that really taught me. As teachers, we're not just teaching, really, we also learn from our students every single day. So anytime that you'll be asked a question and you can put an example of a student, a specific student, you don't have to name the student, or you can just, do a first name or an initial, but be specific. And the way, so if you do that, you will do really well on the interview. And just be honest. If you don't know the answer, just say, I don't know the answer, but I know I could ask somebody, whoever you want to mention, or I could research it, or I could ask my mentor, Dr. McCullough. Whatever you say, do not just not answer it, but be honest. Do not fake anything that you don't know anything about, because they appreciate when you say, I'm a learner. I want to learn. I don't know everything. Nobody knows everything, every answer. Okay. So what else would you say then? If I was interviewing you, what else would you tell me?
Well, I have 11 years of teaching English to grade 7 students. I have also an experience teaching Chinese and Korean students way back when I just graduated. And I'm also currently teaching Chinese to ESL students. I also actually just this week, just today, we're done teaching students who have difficulties in reading. Actually, those students are non-readers and slow readers. So actually, our classes will start on August 22 in the Philippines, and we'll have that remedial reading to those students for the whole year, for the school year.
Okay. So what
Yeah.
you need to do when you connect that, you say, I have experiences with teaching diverse students, for example, and you say your example there, because that's powerful. And you mentioning that you were teaching them about the reading part, that's very powerful, because as an administrator, if I listen to you, I'm like, oh, this is a person I'd like to hire, because I could just see this person helping us to, do tutoring, because they pay extra here in America. The rule is, if you are asked to stay even 1 hour, they have to pay you. So if they ask you to do 1 hour and to do tutoring, they usually pay you $50 an hour. That's what the Helena paid this summer, when they were doing some summer teaching, and they were paying $50 an hour. So they did like 4 hours. So they did 200 a day. So they were making 1,000 a week doing tutoring in the summer. Yeah. So so make sure that you have those things like that. If you know tutoring or whatever, you mention those. And I also mentioned in my earlier post, in the earlier Zoom, that if you have any, you are a coach, an athletic coach, or you're a chess coach, or you any special things you can do, badminton, soccer, whatever, you need to mention those, because they're always looking for like extra coaching things that they do after school, and they pay you also for that. Okay. And so if I am deciding between 2 or 3 different candidates, and then I have these extra things from one candidate, I would hire that person, because that person could help us, start a chess club, or start a, Dr. Elvin, for example, he's a karate, his wife and him are doing karate. So things like that would help our school, because for some reason they're like competing, like which one is a better school, when they have this called free school choice here. School choice means that the parents actually have a choice of where they want to bring their kids to. And you have to remember that each of the student is worth about $10,000 to a school. $9,000 to $10,000 is the individual like cost of, to educate them. So for every person, like for example, if you have 4 kids, as administrators, we're happy. Ooh, that's 4 students. That's $40,000 is going to come to my school. I remembered experiencing that when I was applying, and they were asking me how many kids I have and how many kids will be enrolling at their school. And I'm like, well, I have 2 kids, but I'm not going to take them away from our local school, because I'm traveling to your school and I don't want to take them away from their friends. So I think that's kind of hurt my chance, because later on I found out that they hired somebody with 6 kids. That's 6 kids in their school, $60,000 additional. So that's pretty much her kids kind of paid her pay. And so anyway, so you have to think about that, like you think as what administrators would. Talking about administrator, I think my friend here, Mr. How do you my what from Mexico? Why I forgot you have to say how to you say your name. I don't want to say it wrong. Can you
Mr.
talk?
Wahi.
Wahi, yeah.
Mr. Wahi.
Oh, okay. I want to introduce him to you all. He is a special person. He's administrator of Mexico. We met each other when we served in, where was that, Dominican Republic? Was that right?
Yeah, that was Dominican Republic, actually. Yes.
Yes,
That's
and
true.
it was so much fun. We were there for a whole week, and they paid, the school paid for everything, and we were just serving as a member to accredit the school. So we actually had deliberation in order to see if the school is going to get accredited, although the lead would be writing the report. But we were there together. So thank you for joining us. Do you have a camera?
Thank you very much, Doctor. No, the honor is mine. The honor is mine, Doctor.
Well, it's the same here. I really enjoyed our work. You really helped me with the Spanish thing, because when we did our interviews with the parents, for example, I sat next to him. I'm like, okay, I want you to write that in English and now so I can understand what this person is talking, because at that time I really did not know much Spanish. You knew that, like I was like looking at your notes. But now
I know.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'm looking forward to it. Another engagement review. So hopefully we can encounter each other soon.
Yeah. I have been saying no. I need to put your name in all a bunch of lists that people asking me to do different ones. And I'm like, oh, I don't really have time. I'm going to all these places in Arkansas helping teachers, and I don't really have time to serve on those things. Although, they've been doing it online. So it's boring. Yeah. The nice thing about serving, and by the way, if you come here in the US, any of you can serve on this team. And the nice thing about it when it was face-to-face is that they pay for your travel. They sent me to Saudi Arabia, for example, for 16 days, and they paid for everything, your hotel, your food. It's like a free trip. But then when you get there, they work you to death. But it's a fun thing. I met people like Mr. Wahi over here. I met a lot of people from all over the world that way, and they're friends now of mine, And so, yeah. So, Mr. Wyatt, I was really surprised that you said you want to come to the US, because it sounds like you have a very cool job.
Well, just for professional growth, definitely. I like the US system in general. So I've been working here in Mexico, in Morocco. I have couple of experiences in Spain and in London. So I was wondering if there's possibility to keep growing.
Yeah.
And,
I include your name on my list already. So you're on my list, and I emailed access to all the administrators. So you're on my list already. Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Doctor. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your help and support.
It's just Merlina, you know that.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And say hi to your family for me. And the next time you come to the US, you have to come see us, meet my family.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. So who else have I not talked to? Have I talked to everybody?
Hi, Doc.
Yeah, who did I talk? Yeah, go talk to us. There you go, Maria Teresa. Yes. How are you doing?
Hello, Doc. I'm fine. Actually, Doc, I am the co-teacher of Ma'am Leslie and Ma'am Abby.
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
Yes.
And
one time I had an interview with Bartons, if you still remember.
I do remember.
I asked for your help during
Yeah.
the interview, but unfortunately, I think that was the time that they already hired Ma'am Leslie.
Okay. So you were competing against your friends. I'm so sorry.
It's just okay. I'm so happy for her, Doc.
Well, you'll end up here too, I'm sure. But
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, were you friends with my friend Ernebeth Torano? The late Ernebeth
No.
Torano? Okay.
I know, Doc. I do not know.
Well, they were doing some kind of benefits. She had cancer, and then so they were just telling me that they did. I said, what a small world that my best friends in Cebu, and they were doing a benefit with the students there for her, and made her cry. And I was in the process of going to the Philippines to see her, because I know she was in bad shape. And when I was still looking for a ticket to go there, she passed away which really upset me because, you know, there were 4 of us in college that were just solid friends. You know, we've been friends forever because I've been in America for 35 years and we were friends way years before that. So we've been, you know, friends for more than 40 years. So yeah, that's really sad. But anyway, talking about friendship, that is so good that when you are joining us in Zoom, I felt like when they came here, they felt like they know each other already, you know, because they remembered what was shared in the Zoom. So it's almost like forming a little community, like a learning community in, you know, with us. So that's a good thing. You're becoming like stars, you know, because I would send this recording, you know, to everybody and they kind of see you. So it's an honor, you know, to have you to have you join us. So thank you so much. Do you have any other questions? Because, you know, the first part, for those that are late, I actually had the girls that are with me, the ladies that are with me, that just arrived here, you know, and I wanted them, they've been doing journal. So I said, I want you to share with me your impressions, the things that you've learned, because when I write the book, I'm going to want some actual feedback. You know, that way it's authentic, you know, things that they actually felt when they arrived here. What were the challenges that they had? And right now they're so funny. They were like, the food, because there's no rice when you go to restaurants. There's no rice. Like last night we made a spread. We're going to post that on the Facebook. Like I bought them a lot of food. Like we had like fiesta. There's not a single rice. We had pizza, 5 or 6 different types of pizza. We had all kinds of sandwiches and a bunch of chicken wings and all that, but there's no rice. So we're like, we should have cooked some rice and brought it with us. because I felt like, I don't know if you feel this way, but when I first came here in 87, I was thinking when I ate like sandwich, to me, that's just a snack. Like, where's my rice? That's my meal. You know, and sometimes I still kind of feel that way. Like I'm just snacking because the real meal is actually rice. You never get out of that, because 35 years later, I still feel that way. I feel like if I don't have rice, you know, my husband said, yeah, Merlina's going to get hangry because I get so in bad mood. And I would be like, well, traveling, for example, in Texas, okay? Texas is so big. And we would be driving and I'm like, I need my rice. And so we were like, okay, we need to stop by. And it's so rare to see Asian restaurant. That's where the rice is. And so I would go to Mexican restaurant because there's a lot of authentic Mexican restaurants in Texas because that's very close to Mexico. They're like in the border. And so they would have authentic Mexican restaurants, which I love their food, but the only thing is the rice, they put all those spices in it. And it's not the same as what we do. I still would eat it, but it's not the same as how the Asians, you know, like I want the, you know, the garlic in it and all, you know, the fried rice type thing that we do, or plain. I want plain. But anyhow, so yeah, so you know what I started doing? I started packing my small rice cooker. So when we go to the hotel and some rice. So when I go to the hotel, I would just cook rice and then I'd buy like chicken from the Kentucky Fried Chicken or something to go with it, you know, because you have to do something like that because it's just so different, you know, because I think because we're rice eaters, you know, 3 times a day. And when I was in school, we would bring our lunch and I would bring my rice. You know, we were just talking yesterday and I'm like, you know, we were so poor in the Philippines that I remembered the jeepney ride was $2 on the way in, and on the way back was $4, not $4, 2 pesos, and then 4 pesos, and then 1 peso extra for like soup, like, you know, like mungo beans or something. I have to bring my little rice container so I can buy just 1 peso. I mean, that's how bad it was. And I'm like, compared to when I was helping my niece to go to nursing school, she was getting 300 pesos a day. And I thought, that's a lot, you know, because I was doing 5 pesos, but of course that was a long time ago. And then I realized later, she was doing like going to Cebu doctors in an air-conditioned vehicle. And I'm like, oh my goodness, you know, that is not suffering. You know, we were suffering and we really, we really appreciated it because, you know, you struggle. So when you have like, you know, better life, like when you come to the US, I think we have more appreciation because we come from, you know, I came from poverty. You know, I didn't know I was poor. I thought we were, oh yeah, we were middle class. No, when I came here, I really know that we may not have been hungry because my mom was in food service business, but we didn't have any money. No, my mom, there were some teachers there that would like they would owe money for food for mom, and then they would have clothes from their daughters that do not fit anymore. They would do some trading. They would say, okay, I'll pay my debt with these clothes. And my sisters and I, there are 4 of us, we're all now abroad, but we would fight over them. One day I was like, there was this one outfit, I still remember it, like pleats things. My sister and I both, the one in Dallas now, we fought over that dress. We got spanking for that day because I was not going to let her go to school. No, she was not going to let me go to school. I was wearing it. She was not going to let me go to school, and I was not going to. So we were like over there just holding each other. Oh my gosh, when dad came in, we got the biggest spanking of our life because of his silly dress. That kind of just show how much limited you have. And so, so I guess I'm saying that because when you come here, the life is different. To me, I mean, it's so cool to see, like, for example, when we were traveling yesterday, to see it through your eyes. Because when you've been here like 30 some years, I take things for granted. Like, oh, I forgot about that. That is new. They saw yesterday, they said, there's a Shell gas station. So we were like, last night I was driving, I was talking, and I said, what do you mean Shell gas station? Yeah, there is a Shell gas station, but that is not where we're supposed to go. We are lost. So that's how I knew that we got lost. There's not supposed to be a Shell in this area because that means we went too far. So anyway, so we have to come back and wasted time. But anyway, but the similarities, the restaurants, for example, like we went out to eat and the serving was so big. Like, you will not get as many French fries, for example, when you go to Jollibee or McDonald's. This one was like twice as much. Like they were saying, can we take this with us? And I like, just throw them because it's hot in the summer and you start taking this food and it's not refrigerated, you're going to get food poisoning. It's not worth it. I said, we're going to eat again in another restaurant. So don't worry about it. Just eat what you can until you're full and just throw it for me. And of course, coming from the Philippines, I remember that we don't want to be wasteful. In the Philippines, we don't want to waste anything. But then would you rather be sick? So that's something that you had to, to think about. But anyhow, okay. So I was off topic there, but what I'm sharing are the experiences that they have, and that's why I told them, post something. Everybody wants to learn about your experience. Yeah, do the same. Okay. When you have something really cool at your school, post it, because somebody posted something from the Philippines the other day, some science lab. I don't remember who it was, if it was somebody from here. And Mr. Owahi, if you have something from Mexico, please post some things for us. Like, your PD, you can see some of the Filipinos that are here, they were posting when they were attending PDs. So it's kind of neat to see to see that. And so anyway, and so what I do is when I come visit them, like I have so many pictures I took, and I always ask permission. Is it okay if I post this on Facebook? Because I want to share, I want to share this experience, and it's nice to see those. Okay, any other comments, any questions? Because this is our 3rd video. Usually we have 3 or 4, and there are some people in the chat asking something. Doc, when can the spouse of an H-1B teacher work? After a year or so? Okay, no, the question from, who is that? Lila? Okay, Lila, that's a good question. Your spouse in
Yes,
a J1, yeah, it's called J2, but on H-1B, your spouse will be under H4. And they can work as soon as they get their authorization, just like your J2. If they get the authorization to work from the immigration, it will take maybe a month or 5 weeks, 6 weeks, depending on how much application they have. Then they start working. And some of them I know, and they're not supposed to, but I know some of them, they're with their husband, and while they're waiting for the papers, they're not supposed to work, but who can control them if somebody would ask them to mow the lawn and give them cash? I won't encourage it. Like, I don't want trouble by encouraging it, but I know some people are doing that. I don't know how legal that is, but some people are working like in the back of some restaurant and washing dishes or doing something, and they get cash. They were doing that. So anyway, but I don't want you to break the law, because you're not supposed to work. And I think I read somewhere that you can actually buy property. I know like places, for example, in Saudi Arabia, where you cannot buy any properties there unless you're a Saudi citizen. So anybody, we cannot, but here you can, on H-1B, you can actually buy properties. So So yeah, good to know, right? Because some people, like, they would rather buy a property. If you have a good credit, you have 750 credit, any bank would lend you money. And then, especially if you have a job like teaching, and then, so sometimes your payment for a house may be less than your rent. And the nice thing about the payment is it's your house, instead of giving it to somebody and you don't get anything for it. So I would always encourage people, if you can get together with 2 or 3 people later on, and you have, you can get one of you can get a loan, that sometimes it might be better off to do that and have the equity of the house. So if you paid, so many months, and then you had an equity of so many thousand pesos or dollars, so then you can split them. Or, whoever wants to, if somebody's leaving, you can pay them their part or whatever. That's why I was mentioning earlier that the last year's batch here in Helena, they bought a car together. 4 of them bought a car together. And because they're, and I agree with them that they were saving money, because they were paying somebody to pick them up and drop them off, and they were charged per person. So by the time they counted it, they calculated it, it's actually so much per month. And now their payment for the car is way cheaper. So that's a justification that we actually saving money. And one of them passed his license already, his driver's test. So, they had a driver. And so now this is Mr. Ernest, and he's gonna be taking, like, the others, the new ones that are here. He's gonna take his batch in the elementary, and then he's gonna drop them off, and then he's gonna go back and get the high school and drop them off. And so they will just pay a little bit in order to help him with, like, their insurance or whatever. And so anyway, because you don't ever just want somebody to, like, do it for free, because everything costs here. So if somebody will do something like that, you have to offer, and we cannot afford to say no, because the expense of the car is so expensive. The insurance alone, and the gas and so on. You cannot, in the Philippines, we always give, and people will take. In America, you always need to remember it's a give and take, like, it's always a give and take. If somebody does something, they don't have to do it, but you need to offer. Okay. And that's what I told Maria. I said, Maria, when I do this, and I might be wanting to do it for you, but do not assume I'm going to do it for free. You need to always offer. I might always say no, I don't know, but sometimes I may be short of something, and I would just say, okay, yeah, it's your turn. So now we're beginning to, like, okay, Maria, for breakfast tomorrow, you're paying. Okay, I'm doing supper tonight, and tomorrow you're paying, because you cannot, you do not want somebody to feel like you're just being used. Nobody wants to feel like you're being, you're used, or not. I'm not saying she is, but it's just that I'm kind of talking to her. She's 23, and, and so I was, like, telling her, you always, I know we have our culture, that we feel like, oh, we have to help, because, Filipinos, for example, are the most hospitable people in the world. But we cannot do that when you come to the US and everybody's making dollars and spending dollars. Because otherwise you'll always be, lose money. Like, for example, the new girls, they come in and their house is not ready. I was helping them get their house, but the house, we're meeting with the landlord today, the house is not quite ready. They're remodeling. And so they have to move in with the Helena bunch. Thankfully, they have this big house. So they're moving in with them. And I said, you might want to contribute to their food budget, because I don't know how long they'll be there, but then it kind of messed up their budget, because you have 3 more people extra, so they said, so I said, they might be better just kind of separate your food, buy your own, and then do that. And that way you can take it with you when you go to your apartment, for example. I mean, their house, they're renting a 3-bedroom house. And so anyway, so be thoughtful. I guess my lesson for that is a cultural thing, is just be thoughtful when you get here. That always do not just assume that somebody will pay for it just because they were here earlier than you, or it's me and I make a little more money. Just offer. I will, I just offer, just like, yeah, I want to help. What can I do? Whatever. So just remember that, it could be your coworkers here. They are so wonderful. Like, they're always offering. Like yesterday when we went to Leslie's school, in this brand new school, and the neighboring teacher was, like, saying, hey, I'm Madison, I'm here. If you ever need anything, do you need calculators? I've got extra calculators for students. And, she was like, they are like that. They're so supportive of the Filipino teacher. And then they were like, on their PD day, they were announcing, these are the teachers here. They were the ones that made impact, made a 10% increase. They are being honored like that. But at the same time, I said, well, you know, this administrators are friends of mine. I said, well, they might not need to do too much of that, because sometimes your local teachers might resent you, but somebody keeps on pushing you up, and then they are not being, you know, praised. So some of you, the administrators, Mr. Owahi and Elvin, you have to be balanced about that. You cannot just be praising the international students and not, I mean, teachers, and not praising the locals, because what are we, you know, like chopped liver, you know? That's a joke here. Whereas if you're being ignored, you say, am I a chopped liver or something? So anyway, so yeah,